Evan, call me crazy.
You always are.
I have a feeling that Western Michigan is not only going to beat Denver tonight, but they are going to win the national championship.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You are crazy, my boy.
All righty. Guys, well, ladies and gentlemen, another basketball year is over. I think that is unbelievable. What we witnessed by Florida in the subsequent game versus Auburn, and then in the national championship versus Houston, I think was an epic game. I mean, obviously, it was a very chalky March Madness with all the ones making the Final Four. I think it was the first time ever that happened, if I'm not correct, or if I'm mistaken, right?
I believe so. I'd have to double check that, but it hasn't happened in a very, very long time, if it has.
Okay. So, I mean, I think the national championship game was very entertaining. It was down to the very end. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I mean, it was a great game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it didn't feel like it was a battle of one seed either for any of the Final Four matchups, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
All of them were great games. And, I mean, yes, it showed that all the one seeds deserve to be one seeds, but like it didn't feel like it was a 1-versus-1. It felt like
no. I texted you mid game. It felt like a Michigan State versus a Michigan. The way
not of this year, I would say, but years past.
Well, I meant this game specifically, the national championship, because Florida had the turnover bug in the first half. And it was just kind of like, I'm like, okay, well, obviously Houston's got the bucket. They are up 12 points. It was the biggest lead of the night. But similar to a Michigan squad, Florida kept coming and they kept trying to persevere. And I think a big first half from a guy who really a role player throughout the year, Will Richard. He scored 14 points in that first half. He shot 5 for 8, 4 for 6 from 3. He kind of carried that Florida Gators in the first half when Houston Cougars really shut down Walter Caton Jr., the star of that team. He had 2 turnovers, no points in that first half. He had 2 rebounds and 5 assists. So he was distributing the ball very well. But I mean, shutting down a Walter Caton was key for them to stretch that lead to 12 in that first half. What do you think was Houston's downfall in this game?
Honestly, it was a lot of attrition, but at the same time, I couldn't see a weakness in that team. I mean, that team through the entire game, there was not a weakness really prevalent, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, maybe getting into foul trouble, but I'm not going to blame the refs on that, but they really weren't in foul trouble if you think about it either.
Yeah, I mean, Florida did have those 2 technical fouls.
It seemed like anytime Houston for the second half would try to go on a run, something out of the ordinary would happen. I'm just like
the goaltending, the
missed goaltending. That I'm just like that even killed. The announcer was looked at him. They're like, that clearly touched the rim, and that killed the 14-point lead they had at the time.
Yeah. And I think also Houston's like second half, the way they were careless with the ball, like they went from like barely 4 turnovers to 9 turnovers, and the way
it wasn't really. Like, it was a defensive sound game, but like you couldn't ask for a better national championship game.
Couldn't. That was,
but it's just epic. Weird because prior, Houston did what they did to Duke.
Yeah, and they had more rebounds on the offensive side, so they had 15-8. I mean, when I'm looking at the stat sheet without looking at the teams here, it's just interesting to look at, comparatively. So, Florida had more defensive rebounds and Houston,
and that really happened towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, it wasn't during the beginning. Houston had every statistical category.
Yeah, they did. And they only lost the game in rebounds by 1 rebound. So, I mean, it was interesting.
It was a confusing way to lose, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, because they played right. They played their game, and then Florida kind of just,
found something better, I guess. I mean, Houston didn't play anything different than they normally have played all year.
I do think Joseph Tugler fouling out of the game, that does hurt you when you get your big men late in games fouling out like that.
But that's the thing. The fouls that were called on him as of late were...
They're all on Clayton. So, I mean, it's one of the best players in the NCAA. And
I know I'm not saying they're trying to protect him, but at the same time, it was a little weird that like,
why are you calling fouls now, not in the first half?
Exactly.
I see that.
I mean, I'm not gonna take one side or the other, but like it was just
very tic-tac.
It was weird, and like it felt only one-sided to the tic-tac too, because Florida would go on a run, and
I just think also Florida, the way they were kind of semi-consistent all night with the stops, helped them out. Like being down 12, obviously, in a basketball game at half is generally a little daunting. But the way they were able to get big stops, especially with like 1:21 left in the game, key turnovers, and Tugler falling out, a three by Clayton. Clayton stepped up big in that second half.
Agreed. I'm not discounting that. I was just a little surprised that like anytime Houston would try to get something, it would just blow up in their face, and you're like, this doesn't, like, what?
Yeah. And it was one of those things that like Houston couldn't really breathe in that second half. And it was like the tale of two halves. You know, Houston was choking the life out of Florida, and then the Gators kind of subsequently turned it on their head. A little help from the refs. I do admit that reffing was kind of suspect, but nevertheless,
what made me surprised, because like there was like the two times like towards the tail end of the game.
Yeah.
The possession arrow. I mean, it's just like, you're like hoping there's a chance for Houston, but like, like, no, it's going to Florida. And it's just like,
one of my things is, and I thought this had been a turning point in the game, is when Chinalua, I think that's how you say his name.
Florida's big man.
Yeah, he gets a technical foul. I thought that was gonna be all right. Houston's gonna win the game. It's over for Florida. I know that was gonna be like,
and then the very next thing, it's a foul on Tugler, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, and then following after that play, Clayton came up with a big three, and it was a 21-9 Florida run in that time span with under 5 minutes to go. It was just like neck and neck, back and forth, and it was obviously, I think it was like 8 or 9 minutes left, but then when it got down to the final couple seconds, you could see Florida kind of accumulating. Neither team was neck and neck, and the last play of the game really sets it off. Houston couldn't get a shot off. They needed a point. That's all they needed, a bucket to win, and they couldn't get it.
And the shitty part is, obviously, guy couldn't touch it. Sharp couldn't touch it.
Yeah, he couldn't. And I mean, it's tough. And I really do think that, like, some key players also for, Houston. Tugler, obviously, he had 5, and it was really spread out through the entire team.
They're a team.
Pryor had, 19 points, but the rest of the guys, like, you had 2 players off the bench, Francis and Wilson coming up big for the Houston Cougars, with a total of 63-65. I mean, and then you got Will Richard, obviously I talked about him. And then, Clayton had 11, but he didn't really have a good night at all, except in the last couple minutes. But big players show up in big moments, and that's what he did. And I mean, kudos to the Florida Gators. And what they
who do you have going back next? What early preseason? Who do you have?
Early preseason Final Four? Is that what you're saying?
Or just who do you think? Do you think either of these two teams will be back where we see them?
I think it all depends on who goes to the draft. I think, if Houston's able to retain some of their players, I could see them coming back. They're a good squad.
They're preseason number 1 right now.
Okay. So
way too early ranking, at least.
Way too early for this. But I mean, I could definitely see Houston going back. I could see a Duke maybe kind of reloading. It all depends on how much they lose and who declares for the draft.
I think it's just Cooper, and I can't pronounce the guy's last name, but okay. I think they only have like 2 guys going.
Okay, so I mean, if you're only losing 2 guys, I think a Michigan State or a Michigan can probably throw their hat in there as well.
I worry about Michigan State because Jace is going pro.
Yeah. So, I mean,
not to say Jace was everything, but I mean,
he's going pro this year?
Yeah.
I thought he was a freshman. He's one and done?
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I know.
Wow. That is crazy. So
he's good enough to make it, but it's just like, it hurts you because like,
he was dude. That's why I don't understand the one and done thing, because it's like
some freshmen it makes sense, but
Jace Richardson was a good player. It's just that like if he has another year of development, he could be.
It's
even
like
better.
Bronny when Bronny had the stroke and then went pro.
Yeah, but I mean the dude. So he was 100. So the thing is his stats now.
His stats don't give off NBA draft, but at the same time, it's because of his dad. Think about it this way: because of his dad, it was a pro player back in the day.
I mean,
that's probably gonna be why he gets drafted.
His highest game was against Ole Miss, and he had 20 points. I mean, like that's nothing stellar, but like that's nothing to like blink your eye at. I think.
Well, think
Jason
about it this way:
Richardson
it's the
going pro,
kids. It's the kids.
Yeah, but like my thing is that Richardson going pro hurts you guys extremely. I think. Izzo's got to perform in the transfer portal. And that's one of the things that we've kind of seen throughout the years that he hasn't. And, it's one of those things that like that would give me concerns. I agree with that. But, what do you think of my Michigan pick? Do you think they can make it? Because they're kind of performing.
Who are you guys losing?
Portal.
Or
all right, let me look at that up.
Like who's going pro or at least trying to go pro?
All right, let me look quick. But what
the last couple of guys you've had, the last time you had a successful Michigan player in the draft, if I'm being completely honest.
Danny Wolf is going pro. So that hurts. Vlad Golden considered going pro before withdrawing and committing to Michigan, has played his final year of eligibility, and then is also expected to turn pro. So he's playing his final year of eligibility. I like that. And then Reuben Jones is leaving.
I think you guys would be okay.
And Sam Walters.
I don't know.
But losing Wolf hurts, obviously.
Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt you in the way that
transfers. Elliot Quaid and Morez Johnson are expected to be academically play for Michigan next season. So, those are 2 to 3 pieces that we can add, and I'm sure we're going to add a little bit more. So, I think keeping Vlad obviously is a big thing for the Wolverines. I think having a solid center like him, I compare him to Jokic a little bit, not as so far as production, but just dominance on the floor and like as a physical a physical presence, I think is big. I think having a big man, like obviously Hunter Dickinson didn't work out for Kansas. Like he wanted, like they wanted him too.
They were preseason number 1 and look where they fell.
Exactly. So like, I think Michigan, obviously, I think we got to get hot at the right moment. I think a Florida and a Houston got hot at the right moment this year. And
I think big picture.
Why is there emojis up on the screen here?
Oh, no idea.
Yeah, that's weird. But no, I do think that when it comes down to what we see from a squad like the Wolverines,
I don't know what to expect, because obviously this year I looked at the preseason rankings.
Yeah,
Houston was still up there in there.
Okay, let me pull up the preseason rankings right here.
Because there's teams that like you look at and you're like, oh, that aged well.
Yeah.
I honestly think it really depends where teams end up. Because obviously I know, like you said, Izzo's not the best at the transfer portal. That's not really his MO ever either, though. He's not the guy to be.
They got Purdue up in the top 5.
This was pre, right?
Yeah, Louisville. This is for 2026.
Oh, I was going to say preseason from last year. But okay.
No. So they got Purdue at 2, Louisville at 3.
Purdue at 2?
Yeah. Michigan at 5. So, I could see that. And then they have Kentucky, Arkansas, Duke at 8, St. John's at 9, UCLA at 10. So I could see that being a big matchup.
3?
You got 3 at Louisville. So the Cardinals of Louisville.
Jesus.
And then Alabama, Auburn, to round out like the Iowa, Wisconsin, the Jayhawks, BYU at 16, Arizona, Michigan's at 18, Florida's at 19. They fall from 1 to 19.
Well, it's because
Gonzaga, Tennessee.
Florida loses all of their starting 5 pretty much.
Yeah. They got Ohio State in the top 25 at 23. And then to round off, you got the Tar Heels of North Carolina. So
what is this top 25?
It's way too early to tell, but
literally. Iowa in Iowa. Let me pull this up real quick.
Iowa in the top 25 is kind of Iowa State. I'm sorry, Iowa State.
Okay, never mind. I don't need to look that up. Okay, I was gonna say when you said Iowa, I'm like, Iowa has not been relevant in basketball, at least on the men's side, since we were walking.
Yeah, but
I was gonna say if we're talking, or no, not walking. I'd say Luka Garza days, but the last time Iowa basketball was relevant was Caitlin Clark, and that's women's basketball.
Yeah,
so I was gonna say, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so a few years ago for the
Iowa State.
Hawkeyes.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Okay, yeah. Houston's not in there.
Houston is.
Where?
I think they were number 1. Let me go.
I hope so.
Yeah, Houston is your number 1 team.
I was gonna say they only lose, I think, Cryer and
so they're
Tugler. Maybe
they're coming back and looking good.
But, I mean, Helvin Sampson's been there since 1984. The dude has been able to be around for since Houston's glory days. If I'm being honest,
you know who also has come back and look very, very good, very, very early.
Who?
The Detroit Tigers, man. They are on a tear right now. Obviously, losing to the Yankees yesterday, 4-2-3, doesn't help. But like Zach McKinstry, you got Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson. All these guys are on a tear so far. McKinstry's batting the highest of the team at 371. Then you got Spencer Torkelson at 311. He's jacked some home runs. He's actually the home run leader. Kerry Carpenter is coming up clutch with the most RBIs on the team. But this is just really encouraging to see this team hit so well early. Even Baez is hitting pretty well. He's at
a shock and a half.
321 average. So, I mean, I think the juices are flowing well, but I think, what really kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in this squad was the dominance of Kerry Carpenter in that second game versus the Yankees. He pitches a shutout. The entire squad pitches a shutout. I think that was very good. His ERA goes below a sub-4, which is what we needed. And if there was any worries about him early, which I don't think there was obviously subdued by that. But I think another guy that, people kind of flash an eye at also is Jack Flaherty. I think we could have approximately 2 Cy Young contenders on this Tigers team. Skubal and Jack Flaherty. What do you think of that? What do you think of Flaherty's kind of MO right now on this season?
I honestly think I saw this preseason too. A lot of people did have the Tigers rotation in top 5.
Yeah.
It's not like it's obviously some weird, crazy notion.
Yeah.
It is plausible. It really is. I mean, it's just the big thing that everyone had questions about is, will their bats match their defense?
And it has so far.
Or vice versa.
The pitching, you mean? Yeah.
No, the pitching's fine. It's will the bats match the defense?
Well, the defense has kind of stepped up in the last few games, especially
which it needed to, because
big plays by Javier Baez. I mean, you saw that one tag where it was way behind his back and he had to drop it. That was a Hall of Fame play. And then you see a him turn 2 in a style where he flips the ball with his glove. I mean, Javi's feeling it right now, which I love to see.
It's early, but I'm hopeful. Yeah. It is hopeful. I mean, it's going. The defense that we need to sustain, because if we do, I mean, we have the rotation and the bats to do so. It's just, if this defense can stay consistent like it is right now, I don't see any issues with making it to the postseason.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I want to see, though, from the Tigers is the development of Jackson Jobe. He has a 5.5 ERA right now and a WHIP of 1.5 or 1.56 WHIP percentage, and it's just like I would want to see him play a little bit more consistently. He is playing tomorrow, and he is pitching against the Twins, which should be interesting here to see how he does away. His ERA away is 6.75. Obviously, going against the Dodgers does not help. But what do you expect from Jackson Jobe on the hill tomorrow? What do you want to see from him going forward?
I mean, I want to see just mature. I mean, the kid's young. I just want to see more maturity as the season goes on. I mean, yeah, he'll have his ups and downs, but the maturity is everything. Because, like, think about it this way. He's only when we saw him last, he was in the bullpen. He really wasn't in the starter role.
Yeah.
So
it's Reese Olson, and then it's on Saturday.
Either way.
Yeah. Either way.
Maturity, because we saw a lot of him in the bullpen last year during the playoff run. What I want to see is, all right, if he's going to be able to be a full-time starter like we want him to, can he last those long innings?
And that was one of my things, is that, like, I don't want to see him in long innings. I want him a Skubal 1, 2, 3 guy. My thing is that can he get deep into games? And,
well, that's what I mean, long innings.
Okay.
Like, can he last? Because we've only seen him in the bullpen.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because he was a starting pitcher and then he went to the bullpen. Jackson Jobe, I think if he can develop this season, I think the Tigers can make a deep run, because like guys like Reese Olson, Casey Mays is pitching very well. I do think if we can get, we got Casey Mays, Flaherty and Skubal pitching well. If we can get a fourth guy in that rotation to pitch well and keep our bullpen kind of not coming in games in the 5th inning or 6th inning and keeping them to 7th, 8th.
Think about it this way: baseball has turned into that, though. That's the issue. It's like we don't have pitchers going complete games anymore. I mean, I think it was yesterday, if not the day before, one of Boston's pitchers literally was throwing a no-hitter through 5 and yoink.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck? The dude's throwing a no-hitter. let him pitch a little bit.
Yeah, and I do think that is an interesting, strategy that, if you have the arms and are able to do it, then why not? I think that's a very, interesting thing. And I think, speaking of arms, you were talking about him earlier. The guy for the Dodgers, Snell, is hurt.
Elbow tingling.
Yeah. And I mean, our guys are dealing with that
is
too.
tingly.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a real issue. And the Dodgers of late, and their past, 2 series have won, I believe, 2 games against the Phillies.
Zach.
Yeah, Phillies and Nationals. But, they're a super team. Right now, they are 3rd.
Not so super now.
In the NL. They're 10-4. San Francisco has a game up on them, even though they're 9-3. I guess
San Diego's got a game up on them too.
Yeah. So I mean, I do think
your Dodgers, Zachy, are in 3rd.
I don't think they're going to stay in 3rd for long because they're 5th in runs. They're 17th in batting average. But slugging percentage are up at 2nd.
Well, yeah, because they try to whack everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think that is one of the scary things about this squad is that they are doing what they need to do to win games. I think when it comes in, I don't think they're going to break the record for most wins this season, but I think they are going to be a threat in the playoffs, as they always are. The thing is can they get past San Diego, who is looking
I hope not.
hot as of late? But no, who are your kind of early winners and losers of the season so far?
Honestly, for me, I would say it is the Phillies. The Phillies are playing great baseball right now. And I mean, sweeping the Dodgers early on, I know it's early, but I mean, a season sweep of last year's champion. I mean, still, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean that does help. I would say right now, as of where we're at, I would say the Tigers and the way they've played with their bats, their pitching, all around a good squad. Who do you got for your losers of the season so far?
Atlanta. What the fuck?
Yeah,
for such a good team you guys are. What the fuck is happening?
I mean,
like this is. I mean,
yeah,
I don't even know. I mean, yeah, it's early, but what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's all I can say if I'm being honest.
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm just surprised. I don't know. Yeah, it's confusing. It's just you have the team to beat anyone in the world, but yet you're 2-8.
Yeah, and they're tied for 28th in runs, tied for 21st in batting average. Their on base percentages are abysmal at 16th in the league, and then they are 26th in slugging percentage. So, like as you said,
I'm confused.
I'll say that. Maybe a lot of pressure, high expectations.
There wasn't really high expectations, honestly. It was just
you do play some killer teams right off the bat. I do have to say that you play a San Diego, and then you play the Dodgers, and then
I mean, yeah, but you lost off a walk off of Shohei.
Yeah, which does suck.
I mean, yeah, you played San Diego.
And then
you
kind of bounce back and beat the Marlins 10-0, but then you lose against them 4-0.
So but here's the thing: if you are Atlanta, you should at least be 500 right now. Yeah, you could win. You have the team to win one against San Diego. Yeah. You have the team to beat the Dodgers at least once. I mean, it's not what I'm. It's just more like what the fuck.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I do agree. I do think Atlanta has a tougher road, especially with the San Diego and LA playing LA. But I do agree. I do see your points. I think a big loser of the season, and kind of like a team that's been kind of, obviously 2 sweeps of the Tigers and Braves, but the stickiness of the Washington game. They got the Cubs up next. Right now, it's the matchup predictor, and that is tomorrow at 10:10 p.m. first pitch. A 43% chance of the Cubs winning. This will be an interesting matchup. They got Boyd on the mound for the Cubs versus Yamamoto for the Dodgers.
That's your loser, you're saying?
Yeah, the Dodgers are my loser right now because they're just looking a little shaky. Because like they are the super team. They are the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but think about it this way. I wouldn't call him a loser. I mean, that just shows that, hey, well, I mean, super teams only do so much.
Yeah, and I do, but I thought this super team would beat everyone. Like I thought they would just keep going.
But every super team always has a weakness. I mean, yeah, I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're so stacked. If you look at the signing of Roki Sasaki has been absolutely abysmal. The dude looks like anyone can hit off him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not this godsend that everyone's like, oh my God, he's so amazing. The dude got lit the fuck up. I get he's 23, but the dude got lit the fuck up.
Yeah.
The dude said, yeah, I can't pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. More realistically, I would have to agree with you. Atlanta's pretty bad. I also think, the Baltimore Orioles as well at 5-8, they're the bottom of the American League East. It's just, one of those things that it's just kind of like, right now in the American League, obviously you got the Texas Rangers, and then the Los Angeles Angels are a surprise, Blue Jays, Detroit, Yankees. One of the things
it's still early if you hear some of those names.
Yeah. I mean, it is still early, but good things can happen to teams that are unexpected. Look at the Tigers last year making the playoffs.
I'm saying the Angels shouldn't be in that conversation.
You never know with the Angels. I mean, they can either show up or, not. And I think, honestly, it's very interesting to look at like the power rankings fairly early on because, the Tigers obviously preseason were, I think, the 14th team. They only move up one spot and they win 2 out of 3 games versus the Yankees. And the Yankees, I think, were second in that power rankings. I think it's, Detroit's being overlooked early, but I think if they can continue down this stretch, I think they will move up to those higher positions. I think it's going to be an exciting summer and an exciting fall for Detroit. That's for sure. I think this team can make a deep run. And I have very high confidence in what we're doing right now as an organization. What do you think? Do you think the Detroit Tigers can make a deep run?
I think if they play the way they're playing right now, I think they have what it takes. It's a lot of waiting and see. It's a long season ahead.
I do agree.
If there's 162 games, anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's the beauty of baseball, man. I think it's really cool. And I'm excited to kind of see how the season progresses. But Evan, we're in April. Today is April 10th. You know what today is? The first round of the Masters tournament. We've been kind of, joking about it, but who do you think is actually going to win the Masters on Sunday?
I hope it's Bryson, but I have a bad feeling it's going to be Scotty.
Okay, so you think Scotty Scheffler?
The dude already this first round. I'm looking at it as we speak. I'm going to look at it. He has 3 birdies in the first 9 holes of golf. I mean, he's right now playing. He's on.
Yeah, he's 14. The sole leader.
No, he's not. Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Who's?
Corey Connors at the moment.
Yeah,
not
sure who the hell. 68.
But he also just finished too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then you got Tyrone Helton, and then Justin Rose is also up there as well. I mean, I think Rose could be a dangerous threat. DeChambeau is 2 under though, and he is on the through 4. I do think some guys have an opportunity here to kind of get really adjusted to the course. I think the course is going to play really fast. I was listening to early recordings of what the analysts were saying. I think, some holes are tricky this year. I think 6 will be tricky, especially with that back pin placement today. But overall, I think, you got some guys in there like Cameron Smith, obviously Justin Rose, Scotty, Colin Morikawa, Day, and then Bryson. But I do think Scotty is a very good pick. I'm going to go with my guy, Justin Rose. I think he has a great opportunity, especially where he is early on. I want Bryson to win, obviously. But you got guys in here, like, for instance, it's surprising that Fred Couples, the dude is, I think, 65 and he's tied for 12th in the Masters.
Yeah, but it's still so early though. It is so early.
But I'm excited for this Masters.
I was going to say Couples as of right now. Yeah.
Finished under.
Finished for the round. I mean, it's not terrible, but at the same time, I mean, obviously,
yeah,
it's day one.
It is.
It's day one.
And, it's one of those things that we'll be watching the Masters as the week goes on. Along with this episode posted Saturday, you'll see me and my good fraternity brother and friend Will Webb out on the golf course playing a quick 9 holes. Obviously, that didn't turn out like we thought it was. Our goal was to break 30 on 9 holes, and we only shot 36, which was even for the 9 holes.
And my lucky ass had to work.
Yeah, but I mean,
blame corporate America.
I don't think, in the end of it, we were playing pretty consistent. We only shot two bogeys and 2 birdies to kind of make us even. We weren't really shooting a lot of, outstanding.
Did you play from the women's tees?
No, we played from whites.
So
we kind of challenged ourselves there. It was fun. It was a fun day of golf. It was really cool. It was really nerve wracking, I have to say, to be filmed hitting golf balls because, you got the pressure of not only you got to perform to beat this challenge, but you got the pressure of, you can't have a meltdown and whatnot on camera. That's just not okay. But speaking of meltdowns and hot takes and kind of just the whole shebang of negative energy. Obviously, right now, as we sit right now, the Red Wings are eliminated for the 9th season in a row from the playoffs, losing to the Montreal Canadiens 4-1.
And next week, you get to wear my Matthews jersey for the last time.
Well, hopefully we win. I still want to win some games, but
that's the last game of the year.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully the Wings can pull out a win there, and you can be wearing my Red Wings jersey and whatnot. But no, we'll definitely talk about that game up and coming for Toronto, as they're the only prevalent team left from our two fan bases that are
Big Brother up north.
Yeah,
or
Jesus.
out east.
Yeah, out east.
Either way.
No,
the playoffs look interesting though.
They do. But I want to kind of get into my Red Wings spiel, because a lot of people have been posting. I've seen a lot of depressed fans being like, "This is the 9th season in a row we're officially disqualified." And personally, I heard from my dad, we were talking a few days ago about the history of the Wings. Out of our 83-year history, we've only had a 99-year history. We've only.
I was going to say, you guys are almost at 100.
Yeah, we've only had a handful of years. I think 16 where we've been kind of out of the playoffs or out of that conversation, and it's very interesting that I heard from my dad about the Dead Wings. Let's just say that. And in my mind, this 9-year drought is worse, or going to be worse than that. And, this is due to kind of the two previous postseason hopeful seasons that were gut punches in my mind to a fan base. Each of these past two seasons, we started off dead, we got red hot, and then we got dead again. And, these dramatic ups and downs have tainted the Red Wings' reputation in the NHL for being a good, consistent hockey team. Moments like, the last game we played where JT Compher missed a wide open net still haunt me. And, not saying that would have changed the trajectory of the season. The Wings still needed a win in regulation. If JT would have scored that goal, I think it would have been difficult for them to find a way to win in that game in regulation. But the fact of the matter is where we sit right now, we have a chance to get a top 3 pick in the NHL.
Actually?
Yeah.
How?
Because of how things have worked out with the percentages and how much we've lost this season.
Interesting.
And questions to me like, is the Yzer-plan working? I think right now the obvious answer is no. And will it work out? We talked with Sophia about it. She says yes. I'm kind of sitting here with a bad taste in my mouth. I'm disgusted and appalled and heartbroken of what I've seen on the ice the past 2 years. The heartbreak that I feel. Our general manager, the legend himself, the captain, Steve Yzer-man, his consistent lack of getting good players in this organization and keeping them for a long term has been why this team is where we're at now. We're like a 2.4% chance of getting the top 3 pick in the NHL draft, which is for a team that could.
Do you need it though?
We don't. And fuck, we need anything. And then that's one of the things that it's like.
We need some milk.
Yes. Yzer-man has gotten some good players in the draft. We've consistently seen our AHL team kind of come up and win things in the past few years. This is true. Holland didn't leave us with anything. Yes, I get that. I hear that from the fans. They've been like, why the fuck are you on Stevie's ass? Steve Yzer-man's been good in the draft and he's producing good AHL teams. However, he's the GM for an NHL team. And if those draft picks, the guys we were talking about with Sophia, do not turn out to be good NHL players, that's a failure on him. And we've been waiting a long time for these guys to come through. And, this trade deadline is like, hey, go out there, get a good player, a guy who can score on 5-on-5, good defenseman. But instead, he goes back to the well and picks up Peter Mrazek from Chicago. And, in that moment, Stevie could have tried to change a trajectory of a season that was going downhill. But instead, he maintained course. And we headed into one of the worst stretches of hockey that I've ever seen from this Red Wings team. And as of right now, we are heading into the 10th season of a drought with a Red Wings GM that is unwilling to sign anyone big, unwilling to promote from within consistently. And it like, obviously, like, Grand Rapids is what it is. And due to all of this, Stevie has done great things for the city. Yes. His reputation around the league for what he did in Tampa is great. Yes. But Detroit fans have their heads so far up their ass. They're unwilling to see what we're running into, which I think is going to be this is just the tip of the iceberg of the drought. I think Steve Yzer-man is going to damn us to hell. And we are unable to call him out on this bullshit. Fans are defending him to their dying day because he's Steve Yzer-man. And I want Steve Yzer-plan to do well. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but guys, he's done nothing in Detroit. He's let, good defensemen like Jake Wallman go and leave the organization and sign mediocre players like Justin Hall, who has done nothing. We've got a whole of a net right now until freaking Augustine comes up. But that's
you still have Kosa.
My thing is this, dude. It's just that I'm just disgusted. I have 25 years of playoff greatness behind me. A memory came up today on my phone. The last game at the Joe, that was 2017. The last time we made the playoffs, 2016. It is scary to think that we are going on 10 years of a playoff drought in Detroit, an organization that has been one of the most consistent American winning franchises in NHL history. We have more cups than any American team. I mean, but the fact of the matter is the Detroit Red Wings is no longer, I think Detroit's no longer Hockeytown. We're a laughing stock. Everyone wants to play to Detroit because we fucking suck. We can't defend the net. We can't defend the goal. And our penalty kill is abysmal. Our defense is abysmal because of that. And we sometimes are really good on the power play. And sometimes we're mediocre on the power play. And it's like one of those things is that we got to figure out who we are as a team now. Because in the days of Holmstrom, Probert, Kosher, and a bunch of other guys like Chelios, they had an identity. And that was you come into Detroit and you bump around, we'll beat you. Because we're the more physical, we're the more aggressive, we get on the pucks and we control the pucks. Nowadays, it's just dump and chase, and that shit's not working.
So what is your solution?
My solution is that Stevie needs to make a big move. We either need to get
So are you saying sell the farm?
I'm not saying sell the farm. Bring someone up. Add to the core we have now. Do something like right now. What I'd be doing is I'd be calling, Grand Rapids and being like, who the hell can we bring up so I can get this fan base back on my side? Because right now, fuck the AHL. I'm sorry.
Right now?
Bring some guys up that I want to see that it's a little, preview of next year. Because right now, I don't want to watch a fucking Red Wings game. I'm disgusted to see what Steve Yzer-plan, a proud member of this organization as a player, has turned this Red Wings organization into. It is abysmal that, I'm thinking that, this is going to be a quick, obviously rebuilds are not quick turnarounds. I get that. And I am patient, but this is the 9th year we haven't made the playoffs, folks. Now it's time. I think next year you either put Yzer-plan in and send him down and be like, hey, you either make the playoffs or you're gone. We either perform or you're done. I think that's what you do. I think that's what you say to him. Now, obviously, fans don't want to hear that because they want Yzer-plan to have success. But I think the fans are being too lenient with Stevie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you have 2 years where you need to make the playoffs, where you can make the playoffs. And for whatever reason, because of, boneheaded moves by the front office or your coach not demanding enough or whatever, or youth or whatnot, you don't make the playoffs. I don't know what it is in March and February. The Red Wings do not respond well, whether it's attrition. We talked about that last time. Then bring the fucking young kids up because they have the legs. They have the know-it-all. We always talk about the next star. The next star is in Grand Rapids. Bring them up. Be ballsy. You got nothing else to play for this season. Bring the young kids up. Sit Larkin. I want to see Steve Yzer-plan be able to say, you know what? This is why you should believe in me, because we got guys who are in the system next year that I'm bringing up that we're going to be a powerhouse. I want that to happen. But Steve Yzer-plan is so convoluted in his mind that he's unwilling to make a damn difference of this team and do something ballsy. Picking up Mrazek was a lazy trade. Lazy. I've sat here for 7 seasons and expected a winner. I know he did it in 8 in Tampa, and this isn't Tampa. I understand that Ken Holland gave him nothing, but by God's good love, give me something that's worth watching. That shit isn't worth watching. It's a mistake. It's a damn mistake, and it's disgraceful. He has taken the good name of the Detroit Red Wings and smeared it, and I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sorry, I'm a little fired up. It comes down to this. It comes down to this, man. It comes down to performing. You could have a good plan. You could have a great plan. You could say, believe in me, believe in this, believe what I was able to do as a captain. But if you can't perform, if you can't get this net team next year to the playoffs. I'm sorry, Stevie, but good times have come and gone. Good times have come and gone. It's time to move on. It's time to get serious again about hockey in this city. Look at the Lions. They got serious. They got a Brad Holmes, a guy who's willing to make gutsy calls and gutsy picks and gutsy trades because he knows and he believes in a mission. Right now, Steve Yzer-plan is just trying to fill holes. I feel like he's Scrat in the Ice Age, trying to plug holes in the ice. It's just unbelievable what disgrace he's turned this franchise into. God. I mean, what do you think from an outside perspective? Because I'm going to keep going.
By all means, the floor is yours, my boy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you look at a Tigers organization and you look at, kind of what Al Avila did. If I'm Al Avila right now, I'm kind of stabbing myself that these are my guys performing as in the Tigers organization. And I know the GM of the Tigers now has done pretty well in getting some good, consistent effort from his core. But I mean, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting on every level. Now let's get into something that isn't disgusting because I'm just appalled. What do you want to talk about in the NHL? Because I'm really fucking done.
Say whatever you want, my guy.
I'm just
the world is your oyster.
I know. And I'd rather talk about what's going on good in hockey and a team that actually knows how to draft and knows how to produce. And that's the Edmonton Oilers and why I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
I mean, I wouldn't say as far as they know how to draft. I mean, yeah, they got Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, but this team, they're a great team. But when you look at them, there's a lot of things I worry about. I worry about Stuart Skinner daily if I'm an Oilers fan. The dude is good, but the dude, if he gets rattled, the dude looks like shit.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me is because when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
But when the dude is completely off his game, the Oilers struggle. And they don't. And the thing is, they have a team, but if your goalie's rattled, well, fuck.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen it in Detroit. We saw it, I think
one wrong thing and just the team goes downhill. I mean, yes, they're a great team, but
yeah. And I do think
if you have to rely on Stewart just to hold you up.
And I think a lot of relying comes on Draisaitl. It comes on Connor McDavid to be able to produce because that goalie can get rattled easily. And I think they have a tough matchup versus the Kings.
The 7th year in a row.
And it's one of those things that
they know how to play them.
Yeah.
they know how to play them.
They know how to beat the Kings. And it's
that they do.
One of those things that I look at this and I'm like, okay, well, obviously we can
look at the Central though. Let's look at the Central rank point totals right now.
Okay. So
and tell me how crazy is that?
Let me pull it up real quick. So Western Conference Central Division. Holy shit. 106, 100 points. Wow.
Yeah, the top 3 teams in the Central all have 100 points.
That's
what
nuts.
The fuck?
And then you got Chicago down there with 54.
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of down below, what's the difference or why are the Boston Bruins of this past year and the Titanic so similar?
Why?
Because they're both down sitting in the bottom of the Atlantic.
Oh, my Lord. Jesus.
I don't think I ever would have thought I could say that this year, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, the
Bruins, team from history last year.
Yeah, the Bruins were a little bit of a surprise.
The worst team in the Atlantic. I could not tell you. I could have saw that coming.
Yeah, that was
I
definitely...
mean, they were a team of old heads, so that might be it, sure. But, and they didn't have, obviously, their goalie duo of Swayman and Allmark, but still,
so,
jeez.
My question for you, out of the Canadian teams that are in the playoffs right now, who do you think has the best chance of winning it all?
I want to say it's Edmonton, but here's the thing. This year we have, how many Canadian teams do we have right now? Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton.
I think there's one.
Is Montreal in or TBD?
Montreal is in. Montreal is a 93% chance of being
so every team beside is Vancouver getting a chance or no?
I don't think Vancouver is getting a chance.
Okay,
no.
I was going to say if Vancouver's in, then you have every Canadian team in the playoffs. So there's at least one chance.
Let me look at the wild card real quick, and this will tell me a lot here. But no, I mean, I do think
I thought last year too, but I don't know. because this
Calgary and Vancouver are both on the below the top.
Okay, so they did.
It's Minnesota, St. Louis.
So last year's Vancouver team was Luke. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean,
I figured it was
close. You're close.
Yeah, but you're not winning the freaking Pacific like they did as well as they did.
Yeah.
But what I think it's either between Toronto, Edmonton, or Ottawa. Ottawa actually is kind of scary.
Yeah, they are, and they're a very good team. I've seen them multiple times this year beat us, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see.
I want a Florida. What is it? Ottawa second round. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that would.
Do you know why?
No, I don't. But I like the matchup.
It'd be the brother versus brother.
Oh yeah, the Tkachuk brothers.
You'd be playing your brother.
Yeah, but isn't he still out? Isn't the one on
he's able to play? He's cleared to play. No, he's cleared to play the 17th.
Okay,
so start of playoffs. But still, imagine you're playing your brother in the playoffs.
Yeah,
didn't think I'd see that. But honestly, I don't know because there is all but 2 Canadian teams in the playoff. I want at least one of them to make it to the Cup and win it.
Yeah,
just. I know how you're mad that it's been 9 years since the Wings have made it.
It's been since 1963 a Canadian
1993 since a Canadian team's even won the Cup.
Oh, 67 since the Maple Leafs have won.
Bingo.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the Maple Leafs can do it.
Since JFK's head was blown off.
Yeah, Jesus. Okay.
Wait, that was 1960. Never mind.
Yeah, that was 3, so a couple years after that.
But when the man were on the moon.
Yeah.
Or according to my old sales rep I used to work for, she believes the Earth is flat and the entire moon landing was fake.
All right, we're not going to get into that.
Could not tell you why.
Okay. Yeah,
I bought her a stress ball the other day, and she's just like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's what we live in." She's like,
"A globe."
Like, I'm confused. I'm like, "So okay, fine. Tell me. Tell me."
That is interesting.
No, it was an old sales rep when I used to work for the beer company. She's just like, "Yeah, the Earth is flat." I'm like, "So where does the sun and moon go?" And she's like, "Oh, one's on one side, one's on the other." I'm like, "You know how delusional you sound right now?" She's like, "No." And then Meyer employees look at her like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's a flat Earth theory," and they all are like,
"Yeah,
you're concerning."
This is 2025. Come on, we got a lot of big problems.
Well, she's like, "You work for Red Bull. You know that picture?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, that was just a Photoshop." I'm like,
"Oh my Lord." Oh God.
Lord.
Well, a thing that isn't photoshopped is that the fact that Alexander Ovechkin.
Wow.
Wow.
That's fun.
Did you think at the beginning of the season we'd see this?
I didn't realize it was going to happen as fast as we did.
I had my doubts.
I think, well, when he came back
a few seasons ago, that was untouchable, including to himself. It was untouchable, and he did it.
But when you think about it too, Ovi is the one that honestly, if it were to be anyone, it would be him. Just based on the fact that Ovi is a pure goal scorer through and through.
Yeah.
His favorite spot is that left side of the circle. What has happened anytime he's broken a record at any of the goals? That left circle.
Yeah. And
the fact that he averages 40 goals a year, I mean, it's no question. It is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But as he got closer and closer to like beating each guy's thing, I'm like, there's going to be a chance. And obviously, if he didn't retire last year, like he didn't.
Yeah. And
I knew there'd be a really good chance.
And I do think that Washington has a very good chance. I think Carolina has a good chance of winning the Cup. I think
out of the 1 seeds, or rather the President's Trophy hopefuls, or like your insane point totals, who's getting folded like a lawn chair first? Because honestly, I do think there is teams that, like, obviously you have a ton of points. Yes, you've done great in the regular season, but I do think there is a team.
Think Vegas, obviously.
I would say it's Winnipeg.
Okay. So we made that call last week, and people are saying that we're crazy for saying Dallas is winning that series with the Avalanche. People are saying Avalanche all the way. I don't know if it just like it went to the Habs fan base because I did the hashtag appropriately, but like Dallas people had nothing.
The Habs?
The Abs, Avalanche.
Oh, I was just like,
yeah. So people were saying that we're crazy for saying Dallas is going to win. I could see Dallas winning that.
Well, think about it this way. Both teams are very competitive, but
they're very hot right now, which is awesome.
Both teams are just overall very good teams.
Yeah.
The thing with Winnipeg is Winnipeg's like the Baltimore Ravens of recent years.
Yeah.
They're good in the regular season, But come playoffs, they shit themselves and fold like a lawn chair.
That
we saw it last year. We saw the year before. I mean, yeah, they've put up great years. I mean, back when we were kids, like in the early 2010s, they were the team to beat.
Yeah.
But time and time again, so they would get folded like a lawn chair because other teams would exploit it.
So you've said your biggest disappointment that would be out of the West, the Winnipeg Jets.
They're not disappointing. It's just they have weaknesses that most teams can exploit.
Who do you think out of the Americans are going to be that lawn chair that gets folded? And who do you think out of the American teams are able to win this year?
How many are left?
So you got Washington, Tampa, Carolina, Florida, Devils, and then you got Dallas, Vegas, Colorado, Los Angeles, Minnesota, and St. Louis are the teams we're kind of looking at right now.
I honestly don't have any faith in Washington, if I'm being honest. I know Ovi's great, but think about it this way too. This team is so inexperienced. We just saw them last year barely make the playoffs.
Okay. So you think it's going to be...
I mean, they could get hot. They could surprise me too.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the Canadian teams this year are a lot better.
Yeah. And
if we're going best American team currently right now, I would say it is Dallas, if I'm being honest. If it's not Dallas, it is Carolina.
I was going to go with Carolina right there.
They're both constructed very well and very balanced, but have teams where even if your goalie has an okay night, you're still going to be okay.
And this would be their second cup. I think they won it in 06 is the first time. So,
Carolina?
Yeah.
I believe so, maybe. Or I don't think they've won it.
No, they have. They have. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe 08.
I think it was 08.
Yeah.
Because 06. No, 06.
I think it was 06. Yeah.
Or the year before. 07 was the Wings. 08 was Pittsburgh. Remember? It was the rematch.
No, that was 09.
Okay.
That was 09.
Okay. Carolina went in between that?
Yeah, I believe so.
How long has Carolina been Carolina? Keep that in mind because they were Hartford earlier.
Yeah, they were.
Bring back the Whalers, please.
I agree.
Those unis are so clean.
Yeah.
But honestly,
One Stanley Cup, 05, 06.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So before the Wings. Got it.
Yeah, before that Wings.
Was it Brendan Moore on the team, their coach?
I
think so. He's on the cup.
Yeah, coach. It doesn't say who was on the team. I just looked up when they won the cup.
Yeah, so. I think it was Brendan Moore.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, I think back to our Ovi discussion because a lot of people on ESPN, because ESPN loves LeBron James for whatever reason. Yeah, I think it was the Lakers in 5, dude. Who's that guy?
Good old Skip again.
Yeah.
Good old Shannon Sharp.
The
best part is the dude never played basketball.
I know why he loves LeBron so much. But the thing is look at this. All right. I'm turning your mic off. If you're just gonna give ASMR to the fans out there, I'm not gonna have that. But the question was posed: LeBron or Ovi?
What?
And I think the key difference. What? I think the key difference.
Shannon made this. What?
He picked LeBron because
of course he did. Of course he did.
The key difference can be seen in the way each of their teammates celebrated them breaking like the all-time record. For instance, when LeBron broke the record, he celebrated by himself, and when Ovi broke the record,
everyone tackled him.
And like I think that shows how much of a difference there is in greatness between the two players. I would take Ovi every single day of the week. You know, I was listening to stuff this morning, you know, when you look at GOATs of sports, obviously Jordan's up there, obviously LeBron's up there. But the key thing is that people, when they look at LeBron and Jordan, people fear Jordan, players respect LeBron.
Exactly.
And I do think that the way that PK Subban told the story and told his point of view about Alexander Ovechkin and that GOAT conversation going above LeBron James really shows that, in fact, Jordan was a better GOAT in my mind. Like I do think LeBron is a very polarizing figure. I think he's very respected throughout the league as being one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely. We can't discredit that. Yeah, I agree. But then
here's the most like memorable teammate. I don't think LeBron's that guy.
No, of course not. I mean, you look at the teams that Jordan had. I mean, if you take Jordan out of it, sure, they're not going all those championships, maybe not.
Yeah.
But there's still famous teammates on that team to this day.
There is. Yeah.
You have a current coach right now of the Warriors.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr's on that team. You have North Korean ambassador Dennis Rodman. I mean,
that's crazy.
God, the fact that that's the thing, it's great.
Yeah.
You have Scottie Pippen. I mean, if you take Scottie out of it, I mean, his kids in the right now coming up and playing really well.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, the thing is, you have these anomalies. I mean, yeah, MJ's greatness is spanning everywhere, but like, think about it this way. Where would we be if MJ wasn't a thing? The Jordan brand is
because
beyond.
the thing is like, when people are like, oh, what do you got on there? People don't say LeBron's. I got Jordans. Like,
right.
It's just synonymous with the game of basketball. It's synonymous with style and culture.
It's what it made Nike finally revitalize it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason the movie was made of it. Or
even, Space Jam, for instance. There's a reason why LeBron had to make a second Space Jam, because he's living in a shadow. As much as he hates to admit this, LeBron James
he'll
is
never
living
admit
in a
it
shadow.
either. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he'll never admit it. And he looks at a guy like the big analyst for ESPN. He's done it for since 2003. He's loved LeBron. He called him a weirdo. Like, LeBron's burning so many bridges, and he's becoming this almost toxic guy. And it's just very interesting the way that he is kind of performed later in his career. And just Jordan obviously was a tyrant. He managed his team with an iron fist because he wanted to win championships.
Exactly.
LeBron
he wasn't ever satisfied.
Selfish. He's selfish. I think that is an attributing factor to,
even though Jordan was a tyrant, though, at the same time, Jordan also made your teammates. He made his teammates better.
Teammates feared him because he was such a dick.
But at the same time, you knew that if he counted on you, you'd perform.
Yeah.
It wasn't just all of his teammates were amazing. Yeah. But because of it too, he helped Steve Kerr be a better player. He helped Tony Kukoc be a better player. He made those guys that are overlooked, that obviously the role players that LeBron has, they're role players. Yeah. No, Jordan didn't have to go off some nights
because he had those other teammates in development.
Exactly.
He was helping them out. I think that's a very good point you brought up there, Evan.
He took guys that no one cared about, and he's just like, hey, I want you to be better. And I'm not satisfied.
And I think, a similarity thing can be drawn to J.D. Bickerstaff and the Detroit Pistons. I mean, this is the most miraculous turnaround in NBA history, what they've done this season. They're making the playoffs. They have a little preview tonight, folks. 7 p.m. Tune in to your FanDuel Sports Network or wherever you get Pistons basketball. You got the Knicks and Pistons. The Pistons have played very poorly over late. And some of it's due to their defense and the way J.D. Bickerstaff's trying to kind of coach them. I think they're going away from more or less running the floor, which is what they're good at, so setting up a half-court offense and defense. I think they need to go back to what they were doing versus the Cavs, because that's the last notable win they have. They beat the Raptors, obviously, but they came close to the Thunder. Obviously, they had a lot of players out for that game because of the issues with the Timberwolves. I get that, but that fight there was there. And then you got games against the Grizzlies. Obviously, you lose by 6 points there. That was due to some defensive issues and some shooting issues. And then you lose to the Kings, who I just thought was that was just what are we doing here? We got out rebounded, and that's one of the things we had. We got more turnovers than them. We capitalized on that, but it was just you got to play from the defensive floor forward. And, Cade Cunningham had 35 points in that game. You can't really ask more from him. It's just we had a large lead of 18 and we blew it. You can't do that. You can't do that in playoff basketball. Tonight, I'm expecting some very sound defense. I believe this is in LCA, so we play well in front of our home fans. It's a basically neck and neck matchup. The Knicks are a 3.5 point favorites. No, Detroit is, sorry. They're 3.5 point favorites here. But, what are you expecting here? We got some great news today. Jaden Ivey has resumed basketball operations, but we got a lot of guys, out. Cunningham is, day to day. Isaiah Stewart's day to day. Tobias Harris is day to day. These injuries are happening at the wrong time. Attrition does set in. How do you think this style of play is factoring into that? And do you think that, this is sustainable? Do you think the Pistons, with people getting injured, Jaden Ivey coming back in 2 weeks, they're reevaluating him come playoffs. Do you think this is going to be, do you think the Pistons right now can beat the Knicks? I think that's straight up. What do you think about that?
I mean, time will only tell. Obviously, I want them to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we kind of saw this in the national championship game. Physical teams sometimes falter.
Yeah.
Obviously, pro and college are totally different for sure.
Yeah.
But I think if Detroit does what they do best, there is a really good chance. I'm not saying there's no chance, but I do worry that if they're going to play physical, they might get tired fast. Yeah. Attrition's going to set in faster.
Yeah, and that's
you wear your players down. And obviously, if you're playing a longer series,
and that's
guys might get tired. You might get gassed. And then say you do make it to the next round.
Yeah.
You're getting more and more tired as it goes on.
Yeah, and I think that, JD Bickerstaff realizing, we should probably get a balance here of half court to...
Because, what's the rotation? Is it a 9-man? Is it a 10-man?
It's usually a 9 to 10-man rotation. They kind of keep players coming in and out. They want the juice. They want the high energy. But playing like that, playing like a pit bull, you're going to get tired.
Exactly. A 10-man rotation, I mean, it's not terrible, but if you're having to rely on some guys that are maybe gashed, you can't, obviously, you don't have a Jimmy Butler. If you have to ask, say, Cade to play a Jimmy Butler-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not sustainable in series.
Yeah. And Dennis Schroeder obviously isn't your man. Isaiah Stewart being day-to-day, same with Cade, doesn't help for this game tonight. But Tim Hardaway Jr., obviously you need him to step up big because when he's going off, he's doing well. Mikal Beasley needs to start playing better. He's good on the offensive floor. I want to see a little bit more for him defensively. Fontecchio and Holland obviously need to play their roles, but right now, I think this Pistons team just needs to kind of get good defensive games, kind of get back to where they're playing, get these guys ready to play for the playoffs. I think that's what our focus is on right now. Whether you're playing Indiana or the Knicks, I'd rather play Indiana right now because the Knicks are red hot and they're peaking at the right moment. Because in seasons, you want to peak at the right moment. Right now, the Pistons are in a downturn. I don't like the way I'm seeing this. And my confidence isn't dead in them, but it's definitely fading.
Right. No, I get that. And I mean, if you are Detroit, you do not want to play a streaky team in the Knicks either.
But I think Jaden Ivey coming back, obviously he may not be a starter right away, but I think that's very good for Detroit. I think losing him actually hurt us a lot more than we realized because the team was kind of, mowing. But I think getting him back for the playoffs will help a little bit, but I don't think it will help as much as it should if he was playing the entire season.
Right. No, I get that. I mean, time will tell, and we can all hope more than anything.
Yeah. And I really do think, you talk about, people being fired. Obviously, the not the Timberwolves, the Memphis Grizzlies. Thank you. I get those teams confused. Obviously they fired their coach, and then the Knicks go out and fire their coach, or the Nuggets go out and fire their coach.
Yeah, I don't know, and their GM too.
So it was a full cleaning house. I don't understand why.
The Nuggets one doesn't make sense. The Grizzlies one makes a little sense because they've been haven't made it out of the second round in 7 years.
I mean,
makes sense.
Internal tensions, I could see. I
don't know about the Nuggets one though. I really don't know about the Nuggets one. If I'm being completely honest,
there was tensions between Malone and Booth. I hear from just outside sources and also recent performance. But losing 4 games in a row shouldn't matter. But I guess it was jeopardizing their playoffs positioning. But I thought they were fine. And then, obviously the successful tenure that Malone has had, I thought they should have kept him because they won 3 years ago. They won the NBA champ, or 2 years ago, they won the NBA championship. So it's what are we doing here? You're getting rid of one of the best coaches. But yet again, I think, it'll be interesting to see how this team performs because we saw it with the Wings. When you get rid of your coach, there's expectations. And I think, the owner cutting those expectations and drawing that line really says to people like Jokic and, who's the point guard for
Jamal
Murray? Hey, we got to step it up because this guy wants to win another championship. And I think the Nuggets have a chance to do that this year. It'll be interesting to see as the season moves along. We're getting closer and closer to NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs as well. Who are your 2 favorites to win either or?
For East-West?
East West.
I still do think that Boston is far and away better than any team in the out East. I mean,
so you don't think the Cavaliers have a chance? I think the Cavs have a chance.
I mean, they have a chance, sure, but I really don't see them going to toe to toe with Boston because
fair.
Boston just has what it takes. I mean, they won it last year, and I really do think.
What do you think about the Wild Wild West?
I don't even know, honestly. I mean, it is so out there. Like, there's so much that, like,
I think that out of all the teams here, the Rockets, it goes for me, Rockets, it goes Thunder, and then it goes Lakers. I do think the Thunder dropped a little bit in my book. They're obviously very dominant, but the way Detroit was able to play them, even though they lost, shows that they can, with a more physical team, let's say the Nuggets play them, they can, go toe to toe. And I do think that is a very interesting thing, but yeah, no, I do think that attrition will set in for that team and physicality will beat them.
I would agree. I mean, it's weird to think about because we're seeing so much teams that we didn't expect out West to do well. I mean, Dallas is still in the hunt, even with all these trades. I mean, it's just, there's a lot. It's a lot, and only time will tell. And obviously,
fully agree with that.
It will be interesting to see what happens down the road and what happens come June.
Yeah. Well, from all of us over here at Super Sports Bros, we want to thank you for tuning in. Sorry for if I blew your eardrums off with that rant. But we want to thank you for tuning in and watch the Masters. Enjoy the beautiful weekend. It's going to be sunny, I think, and 70 degrees Monday. So we're
snowing here.
Yeah, it was snowing here yesterday. But yeah, from all of us, enjoy the video and have a great night.
Bye.